I used to read the funny pages when I was younger. My grandpa would get the newspaper and I would get the comic strip page from the back. He'd walk downstairs to the basement, hand them to me. I loved them. I would laugh at them. They're so funny. At the time, Calvin and Hobbes was just this funny little kid and a stuffed animal goofing around. 20 years later, I'm reading these exact same comic strips, and yes, they make me laugh, of course. But they also make me think about my parents, my stints through existentialism, dinosaurs. It got me thinking, how can the exact same comic somehow change without changing at all itself? I can think of so many great days I had as a kid riding my bike through the street, and I didn't even have a care in the world, not a single one. Just flipping rocks, looking for bugs, pretending we were a professional hockey team. What happened? I grew up. That's what happened. When we first drop into this world, everything is so new. We don't know what we don't know yet. And one day we stop having time to waste on having fun or pursuing dreams, and we develop a view of the world that's just so domesticated. I think about my finances maybe once per hour. I never once considered how bills were paid when I was age 7. I wasn't concerned with how addition was done or what the leading candidate's presidential party was proposing. Politics, what? Today I have no time for fun. If I do, it's scheduled in between 15 other stressors and I can't even concentrate on the quote fun that I'm supposed to be having. That's what Calvin reminds me of, that childlike wonder. Calvin views every day as an opportunity to have fun. He isn't worried about anything but that. He's dozing off in math class, he's pretending his teacher's a monster, he's pretending the school bus is a rocket ship, building armies of snowmen, messing with his crush, even having an imaginary friend. That's another topic though. Is Hobbes even imaginary? That's Bill Watterson's genius, where we don't even know if Hobbes is a real tiger or a stuffed animal. Calvin thinks he's real, and that gives him life. But that's also the beauty of the strip. There's a clear juxtaposition between an adult's view of Calvin and Calvin's view of adults. Look at this strip here. Calvin and Hobbes get ready for school together. They're waiting at the bus stop together. They wave to each other as the bus picks Calvin up and sends him to school. His mom just sees this completely different. To her, he's a kid with an overactive imagination who left this stuffed animal at the bus stop. Worth mentioning too, there's no words. Nothing explains what's going on, but you still understand it. Or here, Calvin's dad's talking about escalators when he was a kid, going down memory lane. He's lost. He's just thinking, and Calvin just thinks he's yapping. That's because kids and adults don't see the world in the same way. Now that I'm older, I have a great opportunity to watch kids grow up around me, and I'm, an adult. My brother-in-law has 2 girls that he brings everywhere, and they're great. I love them, but they're not into doing adult stuff. They think they do, but they don't. It's boring. Why would they sit around and watch football when there's a trampoline outside and some pine cones to throw? Meanwhile, we ask, why would we go jump on the trampoline? There's football on. That's a clear juxtaposition between how both of us see life. Children and adults just do not prioritize the same thing. Why? I'm not too sure. It just kind of happens. We stop playing with toys in the bathtub at some point and worry more about the bathroom being clean, or about how much water we're wasting, or just sitting in the back and crying about our life while water's wasted and a shower steams up, and it happens. It's real. It's a real thing. I also think that kids are so fresh to the world that they don't know anything, and they either ask what they don't know or they make up their own answer. To Calvin here, this is just a collection of pages that he can draw something cool on. To his dad, it's a book that he paid money for that he wants to read, or maybe he already read it and he's saving and he loves it. And Calvin, it's just pages. I'm going to draw on him. He just drew on him. Or here, Calvin's dad doesn't have time to admire the snowmen that Calvin built, and it probably took Calvin hours. His dad is late for work, and that is the priority. Think about how much time it took to make all these snowmen. And they're really well done too. That's art. I want to frame that. Calvin's dad wants to run them over and zip right past them and get to his job. Calvin's already moved on to something else entirely. His dad's calling out into the distance telling him to get back here. If this was me, I wouldn't be able to take my eyes off the snowman army I handcrafted. It's beautiful. Adults wake up, get ready for work, drive to work, come home from work, cook dinner, make sure kids' homework's done, make sure they're bathed and they're in their jammies and it's a respectable time, they get a good night's sleep. But think about what goes into each of these individual moments. You don't just make dinner. You had to shop for the food. You had to dedicate time in your week to go to the store, get the food, take the food home, put the groceries away. There's so much that goes into each one of these little moments. It's not just make dinner. And I don't think that adults really have time for fun. I think we're so preoccupied by keeping the routine of life afloat that these moments of empty-headedness and excitement are so few and far between. Even something that knocks the routine off its tracks by a few moments can ruin your day. I would have to go shopping with my dad as a kid, but it's not like I opened the fridge and created a list and drove to the store and maneuvered the shopping cart around aisle to aisle, compared prices, and because my job only pays so much, I would just sit there. I'd walk next to the cart, I'd be in La La Land, I'd want a toy. We had a big family and not a lot of money, and my dad would go to 4 different grocery stores because this one had cheaper chicken and this one was on sale here. And it's dizzying to think about, but now I do it too. I find myself doing the same exact thing as an adult. It could be the fact that adults are so preoccupied that going to La La Land makes them feel unproductive or something, but there's definitely time for fun when you're an adult. I admit it. You just have to find it and be deliberate about it. When you're a kid, you think that adults have all the answers. That you're going to wake up one day and the world's going to be solved because you are an adult now. The truth is, adults are just ad-libbing. This comic made me realize that. It made me realize that adults are so lost in their day-to-day routines that they just don't think they have time for it. They're improving. Every single day, they're improving. I think this comic here really highlights Calvin and Hobbes' ability to be philosophical and then make fun of itself for being philosophical. Here I am, waiting for the bus, 11 more years of school to go, then to college, then maybe graduate school, and then I work till I die. Yeah, that's true. That's technically true. You boil life down to these teeny tiny moments, it feels short and uneventful. But when Calvin tells Hobbes that the weekend is for watching TV, that highlights a special part of life. The days of monotony, the days that you forget as you grow older. I genuinely think that the genius of Calvin and Hobbes is this documentation of childhood, this documentation of the days of monotony. Do you think Calvin's gonna remember the individual snowmen he built? Maybe 1 or 2, but to be real, he'll probably remember that he built snowmen in a general sense, not the specific snowmen or the specific days of snowmen building. After all, we are just specks of dust on a macro sense. Nothing we do matters in the grand scheme of anything. And this fact is either crippling or liberating. Think about it. If nothing matters, who cares what you do? Who cares if you waste time? It's not like it matters anyway. It's hard to think about that between meetings and shopping and struggling to pay bills and cleaning up messes. And I do think in the macro sense, nothing matters. Like we're just ants on a rock floating in space. But we do matter in a micro sense, like in the relationships we build day to day. My coworkers would notice if I was gone and I would notice them if they were gone. My family's important to me. They're not insignificant. The secret is just don't think about it. Just don't think about it. Just exist. Have fun. Watch TV. It'll be okay. Enjoy the ride. It will end one day. I also think that Calvin's dad has so many incredible bits of social commentary about life. He is Bill Watterson's outlet for gripes about society, it feels. This one here, he talks about how amazing new technology is, but he's also realizing that yes, the technology is making things more streamlined, but he's removing a very important part of day-to-day, and that's leisure. If we want more leisure, we would invent machines that do things less efficiently. Calvin's dad correctly realizes that we live in a go society, and these machines that promise to do the hard parts for us are taking away what makes these tasks worth doing. And not only that, sitting around waiting for something to process gives you a tiny blip to take a breath while you wait for the printer to print your page. It takes 20 seconds, but take a breath. It's okay. And we just keep filling this leisurely time with more. Nowadays, while I wait for the printer to print, I pull out my phone. I can fit 3 Instagram reels, 3 TikTok videos, 3 YouTube shorts. 15 seconds an eternity in the social media era. It also gives me time to read maybe 1 Calvin and Hobbes. We live in a world of short form content. And what's shorter than 1 to 10 drawings that tell a story that can make you feel something? It could be joy, wonder, excitement, Here's a 1-panel comic. Here's a 10-panel comic that communicates a complex subject through the lens of a child. Here's a 19-panel comic that just makes me smile. In one of the episodes of The Bear, they talk about stripping a meal down to its most basic ingredient. Something only needs what it needs, and when you overload it with unnecessary ingredients, it gets messy and the highlights get lost and you're just kind of eating slop. That's the beauty of comic strips. This is a joke told perfectly in 4 panels. If it had one more panel, what would it even say? It feels like Bill Watterson used the perfect amount of ingredients to portray his message. No unnecessary background details, just orange because it's fall. No words explaining the action. Calvin's pose does that himself. There's no need to overcomplicate things. And you can read these in a second if you really want to. Or you can sit and you could stare at them and admire the beauty and take as much time as you need. That is the beauty of bite-sized art. That is incredible. Finally, the art. This is something that's less important to the story, but I marvel at some of these panels. Keep in mind, these were in newspapers 40 years ago. They were painted with watercolor, they were Xeroxed. It's amazing how much detail they still have through that entire process. I'm also just a sucker for the flat color backgrounds that are used that add so much to the comic, and you got dinosaurs and spaceships and fall and winter. It's just truly remarkable to look at. Bill Watterson, you are a genius. This essay started out as an attempt to explain to my coworkers why these comic strips are incredible and not just silly haha hee hee cartoons for babies. They'd walk by me reading it or they'd hear me laughing and they're like, "Why are you laughing so hard?" And I'd show them the comic and they'd be like, "Okay, I guess." It's just genuinely so hard to boil all of my love and feelings down into anything coherent, but this is my best attempt to make it at all even slightly digestible. There's so many strips out there and it's worth a read. If you want to get started, I like the trio of the authoritative, the essential, and the indispensable Calvin and Hobbes. They're great places to start, though I really love It's a Magical World or There's Treasure Everywhere as more concentration on slice of life comics. Honestly, there's really nowhere that you can go wrong reading these. It's got a little bit of everything, but I don't know. What do you think I missed here? I feel like I missed a little bit. There's so many strips and so many individual drawings that I could use to hammer away the points, but really, I just think it's bite-sized, it's philosophical, it shows something from the lens of an adult, but also as a kid, and it's just a good way to have fun and enjoy life and slow down for a second. So that's why I love Calvin and Hobbes, and I really hope that you love Calvin and Hobbes as well, and I'd love to hear about it. What's your favorite Calvin and Hobbes? This one here's my personal favorite. It's so funny, I laugh every time. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!